Hi, my dear students. Today we will be discussing Home Essay by Toni Morrison. Okay, this has taken a toll on me also. You people were worried about this essay. At the outset, I would like to tell you there are two different things. One is Home, a novel by Toni Morrison, her 10th novel, and another this essay Home, which was published in The House That Race Built and edited by Vehnima Lebiano. Fine. So these are two different things, and whenever you search for these things, or whenever you search for home, you people get confused. So first, at the outset, you have to understand that these two are two different things, and this essay Home is in your course, and the Home novel written by Toni Morrison is her third novel. Before coming to this essay of Toni Morrison, I would like to tell you something about the novel of Toni Morrison, because she has given a lot of references in the essay as well. This 10th novel of Toni Morrison, which is entitled Home, she talks about black army man. His name is Frank Money, who has come from a war. The war is over, and he is facing some sort of meaninglessness in his life. In the meantime, he comes to know, a letter comes to him, and it informs him that his sister C, the name is C. C is the name of Frank Money's sister. So C is in trouble. He takes a journey, and that journey is also very troublesome. That journey, if you read the novel, you'll find that journey is exactly like the journey of the laborers. These laborers which are coming from different estates these days, and crossing the borders, it is in no way less troublesome than the journey of these laborers, and for which our Prime Minister has also talked yesterday. So that novel talks of that Frank Money's trials and tribulations while taking a journey to his sister's place, who was tormented by her husband and facing cruelties. But leaving this here, we have to come back to the essay part, because essay is in our course. So this essay Home, in which Toni Morrison begins with the sentence that from the beginning I was looking for a sovereignty and authority that I believed was available to me only in fiction writing. That's why I mentioned you his novel Home. That her first novel was The Bluest Eye, which was very popular one. So in this essay, she first says that she gets liberty in essay writing. Fine. Because there she can pour her heart, she can locate for whatever she wishes to locate. But in this essay Home, you see, she has shown her search as a racist writer to find out a home, and home had many connotations. Fine. If we go through the essay, we find that this home has different so many different connotations. I had tried to find out them for you. Home has as many as at least six connotations. So the first is that she says that the notion of home here is the notion of home for colored people, for black African people. You see, she was an African American. She was in the mainstream of American writing, yet she was locating for her place in mainstream writing. So as a writer, her search for her home, and simultaneously her search as an African American. So this is one connotation, one meaning of home. And the second, that she says that home has many different connotations as well. Home, she says, home is a house which one inherits from his or her father, in which one is having a room of one's own. So that is another connotation of home. But again, she says that I'm not talking of my father's home. Here I'm talking of a racial home, because here home has a racial construct, and home is a place where you feel at ease. Home is a place where you feel comfortable. Home is a place which has a sense of belonging. But for blacks, but for Africans in America, it is a racial construct. So she talks about that also. Then the third meaning of home is a non-existent Eden. She says a non-existent Eden means looking for a paradise, looking for a heaven which has been stolen, which has been taken from where these people are exiled. So home has that connotation also. And then another connotation, the fifth connotation, she says, is search for elusive sovereignty, that you want to, I mean, you means black people, African people, they want to have a place which is sovereign to them, where their authority works, but they do not have that sort of home. They are looking for that. And then in the end, she says, the moment you locate, the moment you find your home in American context, then she uses the phrase abandonment of that search, when it's realized that it's elusive. You leave that search, you abandon that search for home when you come to know that the whole search, the whole quest was an elusive one. You do not belong to this place and you want to abandon that. And for that, and for this concept, she has taken many linguistic parallels also. There is an allusion or a reference of the editor and a friend. She talks about one of her novel in which she has used one sentence, and that sentence is, I'm going to read it for you, something related with kiss, which, yeah, she says she was asked by her editor to delete the last word, and she didn't mention the last word, but many a time she has mentioned some words, and she says, certainly no clamor for a kiss. So maybe she hasn't mentioned that directly, but maybe the kiss was the word. And when she talks about this to one of her friend, he's or she, a friend is not mentioned who he or she was, so she said he's that friend of hers, says that you shouldn't have abandoned that word, because that one word belongs to you. That word has the main thrust in the novel. So she mentions that also in the novel. And then she says, I also started feeling that I shouldn't have abandoned that word, because that word has many connotations. And then she says that the driving force of the narrative is not love. The behind deleting that word kiss, she says the driving force of the narrative is not love or the fulfillment of physical desire. The action is driven by necessity, something that precedes love, follows love, informs love, shapes it, and to which love is subservient. She says love is secondary to that, which is subservient but very important. And then she start feeling that she shouldn't have abandoned that. And then she shows the growth of the idea, and ultimately she says, no, editor was right, I should not have used that word, because that word was having a racial identity. And then she says, with the ambivalence of the writer and the back and forth between writer and editor, she realizes that it was better to leave that. The editor was right. And for me, the alarm, and that was an alarm to her, that she should be very spick and span in the choice of her words. There is always the threat of not being taken seriously, and she says because of such things there is always a danger, a threat, that she should not, as a black writer, as an African writer, she should not have been taken seriously, or having the work reduced to social anthropology, and that would be listed among the works of the social anthropology, not as a mainstream fiction. or having the politics of one's own language, because they have their own language. She wanted to talk in her own language, so she's maybe because of the language she has used. In many of her interviews, the white people have asked her that why you have used this sort of language, why you have used this sort of theme, or the theme of that when a black woman kills her children. So she defends herself by saying that, you see, you people are in the center, and not only that you people are in the center, mean whites are in the center, but they are used to of being center, and we people who are in the periphery, to whatever extent we work hard and to whatever extent we try to educate ourselves, we are not coming into the center, because it is not only the education, it is the capital, it is the cultural capital that you people carry with you. It is the manners, it is the dress, it is the behavior, it is so many other things. And then she gives it the name of cultural capital, and she says, because of that you people, mean white people, are in the center of everything. And that all that she talks in her this particular essay, Home, she says, what is education? She interrogates, what is education? White people are educated in premier institutions like Harvard, and we people get education in local community colleges, and so many such other things also she cites in the essay. And she's in one of her interview, while talking about the novel, she says that we were given names, the name we carry, and other names, Oreo or what, so what, other names, derogatory names. So she says that white culture and black culture, these are two different cultures which are existing in America. And then she, in her essay, she quotes one black author, William Edward Burgert Du Bois. And Du Bois was one who has written a very popular ethnographic book, in which he has talked about slavery, in which he has talked about the problems of the blacks or Negro people, or African people. And in 1909 he has made an association, NAAPC, National Association for Advancement of Colored People. And in this essay, in the end of the essay, Toni Morrison talks about that also, that we people were doing our bit to come to the mainstream, but not only the theme, not only the language, even the politics was also involved in that. Even we were politically marginalized in spite of in spite of our better efforts. So racism is the main theme in this particular essay. And the concept of double consciousness, self, and from the eyes of others, the one's own self, and your identity from the eyes of other people, especially the white people, has also been dealt in that. And you see, this particular essay was also, she was reading it, or she is an address in a conference, like Milton's books which he has delivered in Parliament. This was also an address Toni Morrison has given in a conference. So many a times she talked about that in your conference. This happens. Nothing beyond or beyond considered her prey. You see, she says that it is not only that we are taken at, or we are cited as detritus, the leftover of the society. Then when an interviewer asked Toni Morrison that you are in the mainstream, why are you talking all this? She says, it's not that I am in the mainstream, it is that I am carrying a collective subconscious of black people. I am writing about the ideas and the ideals our ancestors had carried on. So in I can say in nutshell that in this particular essay, Home, Morrison is continuously obsessed with the problem of the racism, and she has cited many examples one by one from many of her novels, especially in page number 8. She writes, in writing novels, the adventure for me has been explorations of seemingly impenetrable, race inflected, race clotted topics. In the first book, I was interested in racism as a cause, consequence, and manifestation of individual and social psychosis. Her first novel was The Bluest Eye, and she says that in that I was continuously brooding upon, I was continuously obsessed with the psychosis, the paranoia of being black. And then she cites her second novel, Sula, which came in 1972. In the second, I was preoccupied with the culture of gender and the invention of identity. And she said in the second novel, I was obsessed with the with the gender issues, with the looking for the place of women, because black women are doubly marred, first for being women and second for being African. So I had talked about that also. And then in the another novel, The Song of Solomon and Tar Baby, I was interested in the impact of race on romance and community and individuality. And in this essay, she says, in the essay which is prescribed in your course, she says that in my third novel, the theme was race on the romance and community and individuality, that African people living in different ghettos, or African people living in the main setup of American society. So she talks about that also, and she cites an example of an author that when you suffer from insomnia, you should have the freedom to walk on the road, and while going downtown, if you listen a baby crying, you should have the liberty to go and ask, even if she is a white lady, ask the mother why the baby is crying, and sit there and gossip there after the baby is pacified, and you are welcome there. Means she says that you are not welcomed in those white household, and you cannot walk freely during night. You become there is every likelihood that you become the prey of racist violence, all that she cites in this while talking about racism in this essay. And then she gives the example of her another novel, The Jazz, and says that I tried to locate American modernity as a response to the race house, that I tried to find out that how American modernity, modern tradition of America is trying to find out. People are ready to accept, assimilate, but overtly, not including them in the day-to-day life of theirs. It was an attempt to blow up it all encompassing shelter, its all-knowingness and its assumptions of control. In the novel I am now writing, I am trying first to enunciate and then eclipse the racial gaze altogether. She says, in my writing, I am first trying to enunciate, first I am trying to enter into or through the racial themes, but soon talking about that, I want to get rid of that racial identity, and I want to carve an identity of American citizen, but unfortunately that is not possible. All these are the issues she has talked in throughout the essay. She has also talked about the concept of double consciousness black people are facing. She has also talked about the problem of developing an epistemology of their own, a language of their own. And she says, when we talk in the language of our own, that is not considered artistic, that is not considered standard English. So that is also, they are facing problems on account of language and linguistics also, in in that particular case. And she has also talked about the concept of the othering, that they are not in the mainstream, they are the others in the American mainstream. In this new space, one can imagine safety without walls, can iterate difference that is prized but unprivileged, and can conceive of a third, if you will pardon the expression, world already made for me but snug and wide open. She says, in spite of all that, if you give me the advantage of talking in my own language, we are considered as third world, people from third world. And she says, we do not want that. We want already made up, we want a home which is already made up for me, and that home should be both snug and wide open, tightly and closely compact, as well as this should be wide open so that we can roam freely, with a doorway never needing to be closed. And we should feel the freedom of or the safety of living in a home which has become our home, but which is in fact not our home, or we quite often we are made to feel that this home doesn't belong to me. So it is her long search for a home which is snug, which is closely knitted, in which she feels the comfort of staying in her own home. Thank you.